Hey, everybody, this is Roy McDonald from MacDon and Associates coming to you with the next episode of Tuesdays with Roy. I have two very happy, fun friends that are here in the studio today. This is Natalie and Jacob Dunkelberg. Just closed on a house 1 hour ago over in Warren. And so I thought, what the heck? Let's have you guys on the podcast. Let's chat a little bit.
Love it.
Share your experience and really just give insight to those out there who are thinking about buying or selling a house, what your experience was, and also just what the process looked like for you guys, because we hit a few snags in the road.
Oh yeah,
and those happen, people.
Yes,
they are real. It's how you handle
It's
it.
life.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know.
So tell us a little bit about who you guys are, what you're all about.
Let's start with you.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Well, I'm Natalie. I am married to this man right next to me, Jacob. We live on a campground called Fayehola. It's over in Grass Lake, Michigan. I actually just started working in their customer service department, so I'm going to be the head of all of that. So like when groups reach out, when people are scheduling things, I'm going to be the main person they're talking to. So I'm taking on a huge role.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So yeah.
Yeah. And I started at the campground back in September. I got hired on as the site manager, so I handle all the grounds, all the maintenance. Big transition, moving from Metro Detroit, Warren, where we've grown up, to a more rural area, over an hour away from friends and family, and couldn't have done it without her. I mean,
Sure.
The three of us, we have a foster son, Jay, and just turned 6, and so I mean, living on a campground, what kid wouldn't love that? That's like
Sure.
the dream.
Yeah.
All the parks and everything. So it's been cool. It's been interesting. It's had its struggles, but like overall, like awesome.
Yeah.
Been
Yeah. Been a good experience.
Yeah,
You guys
sure.
are loving it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. I saw the other day, I don't know if it was you or Natalie that posted on Facebook, but you guys went fishing in like a little pond with Jay.
Oh yeah. Well, we went out on the kayak that
Oh,
day.
okay.
That day we were just
okay.
kayaking.
I was like, thinking,
found out
did
he
I post a
can
picture in the boat.
he can fit like right in the front of my kayak,
Okay.
and so like he was loving it. He was sliding his feet all the way down to the point of the boat,
Aw.
and he was just like laying out, and he's like, "Look at all the clouds, Dad. This is so cool." And then he's just splashing the water around, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "This works so perfect."
This is great.
And that's
Yeah.
just life. Like we live on the lake now. I mean, like he gets as a 6-year-old, it's not safe anymore to just like let a 6-year-old run around. But on
Yeah.
the camp, like he's able to. It's enclosed, so he's able to like run around, ride his bike,
I still don't want
play
to go
with the
too
dogs
far.
outside. Yeah, his rule is he has to see the house.
Yeah.
But like it's just so much freedom, so much
Sure.
ability to just be a kid,
Yeah.
and I love that
Yeah.
for him.
That's
So,
cool. I love it. So,
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, I've worked with this amazing family on 2 different occasions. One with your house over in Mount Clemens, buying and selling that, and then again with your home over on Waltz that you guys bought and sold today. Obviously, just sold today.
Yeah.
What? This is kind of off topic from what it is we talked about before jumping on, but what led to you guys going? Obviously, there was a job opportunity in Grass Lake, but even more so to that, like there's a spiritual side to this too. Like God calls us to certain places and to do certain things. And that led to you guys leaving the comfort and, stability, if you will, of the home that you were in and going, nope, we're going to live on a campground.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that story too.
So I think both of us, but especially Jacob here, we were both feeling kind of stuck in our everyday like routine. And by that, I mean, like I wasn't getting home till almost 7:00 every day, Monday through Friday with my full-time job. So I was seeing my son and my husband for just a little bit of time, eating dinner really late. And I felt like I wasn't spending a lot of time with my family. And I know a lot of people do that day to day, and that's their life, and that's that you make with what you have, you do your best. But both of us were just like, I feel like there's just something I feel like something's missing right now of what we're doing. I don't feel like we're doing exactly what God wants us to do here. And the biggest thing of that is like being patient when God says, okay, go ahead and move now. Because a lot of times we feel that, but it's not time to make that
He'll
change.
give you a glimpse or show you like, hey, I'm
And-
calling you to do this.
Yeah.
But maybe he's not calling you like right in that moment. And
Yeah.
that's
So
like hard to figure out.
we were just kind of stuck in our everyday routine. And I will admit I wasn't like the happiest at my job. I was dealing with angry customers all the time, and it was really challenging. I was being yelled at constantly, and there's just a lot. And same with your job a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we had super stable jobs, really good people we worked for, but the jobs were stressful, and it just didn't feel like what we were being called to.
And
it wasn't as fulfilling
Yeah.
as what I think we just had this like desire to like help people a little more than what we were doing
and
or
we
able
were
to do.
We were part of an amazing faith community too. We're in Detroit for Santos Church. I mean, we were past when we were
Santos.
working with our such close friends, and we made new friends, and it was a great community to get involved in. Jay had never been involved in church before, and so that was a huge thing for him.
Bless you.
Yeah, thanks.
And it was just like there were some things where like, yeah, this is what we're supposed to be doing right now, but then like the other part of our life, it was like something's missing. This doesn't feel like what we're supposed to do anymore. It's kind of that heavy feeling.
The more we prayed about it, like our prayers kind of just became like, hey God, if you could slow us down and just give us more time to be together.
Yeah,
like,
it was
just
actually
enjoy
really
your
specific.
creation.
And we weren't sure what that looked like.
We were like, we don't know what that is, but like just
like.
let us be able to spend more time together. Let
Sure.
us just enjoy each other and like what you've created. And
Yeah.
obviously we didn't know what we were praying for, but then we both were feeling like, hey, I think God's moving and like something's happening. And so we were like, hey, let's just start looking at options. What does that maybe look like? What is that ministry? Is that, what is that?
Is that moving states? We applied for a church in North Carolina.
Yeah.
We were like, maybe we're supposed to move states again. Like, not again, but like that idea of moving states.
Yeah.
Like we have in the past, we thought we were supposed to do.
And then a friend of mine called one day, and it was just me and him talking on the phone. And he goes, hey, you remember this campground we used to go to and we'd fish all the time? I was like, oh yeah. Like we go there all the time. We love to catch pike and bass over there. He's like, yeah, they just called me to offer me the position as site manager. But like, man, I'm doing my thing here in South Carolina. I'm not moving my family. Like I'm doing really well. I've got my he's like a master electrician down there.
Okay.
And he's like, but I was thinking about you, when they were talking about it, like I told him, hey, I think I got the guy. And I was like, I don't know about
You're so
that.
kind.
Like,
You're so nice.
Yeah. That's cool, man. And so I didn't even think about it. I didn't say anything about it. I didn't tell her about it because I just kind of written it off. I was like, no, that's not it. Like we were just talking about ministry at church. Like, why would I move to a campground to do maintenance?
Yeah.
And so then we were driving maybe
the next day.
Yeah. The next day.
So you waited a little bit of time.
I waited a little bit of time and he calls again. And this time he's on speaker and he mentions it to her and she just looks at me and she's staring and he's like, so have you thought about it? Like, did you get to pray about it last night? Did you talk to Natalie about it? And she's like,
and I was like, don't worry.
No.
I was like, don't worry though. We're going to get a resume over to you. And Jacob looked at me like, what?
What are you
and I'm like, stop. I'm like, we're going to get a resume over. I was like, thank you so much for bringing it up, Casey.
Yeah. And so through that, we hang up and she's like, why didn't you tell me about this? Immediately he was talking about it. Like, this is it. This is what God's
I saw that like
and
light up on your face a little bit. Like, and then you started telling me about the job and like the wait before you even knew much about it. You were like, yeah, and it would be this and this. And the campground's so cool. And he's like talking about it. And I just see like this life coming back into him talking about doing something. And it was a switch. And I was like, I got a good feeling about this. It was quick, but I was like, I'm feeling good about this. I'm feeling good about this. Like, submit the resume.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, we applied and long story short,
it happened very quickly. It was a massive God thing for sure. He honestly paved the way for it to be very easy for us to, I mean, don't get me wrong, that was hard to move, but the process to move and all of the signs to know for sure this is what we were supposed to do were clear as day.
And things happened in that too, like right when we were about to accept, my mom got some news and there were some medical issues. And so it kind of brought us back like, oh, are we supposed to do this? And then we prayed about it in that moment. It was like, no, this is still what God's calling us to do. Like, even if we stay right here, we can't change what's going on.
Sure.
We're an hour. Like, it's not that.
It's not big you're not 3 states away.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that I see just in general with a lot of people is like, they get this calling and then like reality is you're going to run across roadblocks. Like it's just going to happen.
Yep.
And the question comes down to, are you going to question everything because you came into one roadblock? And it's so often that happens, right? Like, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do with school. Okay, well, I didn't pass that class. Okay, that doesn't mean you don't go to school anymore. Right. It just means you didn't pass that class. You got to take the class over or whatever it might be. Anyways, all that being said, you guys take the next step. You jump in and you go, hey, I'm going to apply. You get the job. You start working there and you got a house in Warren.
Yeah.
And so
just chilling.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things, and this is okay for us to say this, but you had some friends that stayed there for a short period of time.
Yeah, our friends had just gotten married, and they were able to. They needed a place, and we obviously needed finances covered because we were like, hey, finances look a whole lot different taking this job. It's not as stable as what we had in terms of like.
I actually wasn't working when we moved. I left my full-time job, and it was
just too far. Like the commute couldn't happen
at the very beginning.
So it worked out. That was definitely God. We had friends who were like, hey, we need a place. You need people. and
Can we
it
work
worked
this out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it worked
Yeah.
out great.
Yeah.
And so
they were there for a little while. They stayed in the house, rented from you guys. And then that led to then going, hey, it's time for us to sell this. It's time for us to jump on what it is that's happening in the market rather than continuing to, because you guys could have.
Right.
And when we went down that road too, going, hey, and this is a big thing for me. Like a lot of times in real estate in general, people give the option that's they believe is the best option and not all the options.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Reality is I could have said to you guys, nah, you don't want to rent. Don't worry about it. And nope. Renting is an option and it's a really good option and you can make money renting houses. It's something that I want to do. And a lot of other people that I've had on the podcast do.
Yeah.
Here's both options. What's the best option?
Right.
Which led to you guys going, hey, actually, I think we need to sell the house.
Yeah. Of course we wanted that extra income coming in because that sounded nice. It always does. You
Sure.
know? But the reality for us of how busy we were starting to become with our life out there and we were trying to get plugged into community and that was really hard at first, but we eventually started getting into a groove of things and having that house out there kind of became like a chore, not really like something that was bringing, because like we still obviously owed money on the house, all that stuff. And it was like, you know what? I don't think this type of lifestyle's for us. I think it's time to give it up.
Right. And we're just now entering like the busy season. But even the last couple months have been so busy. It's been difficult even taking care of both.
Sure.
You know, we still have everything we've got going on at the camp. We've got a home on the campground. And so we're taking care of that. And then trying to keep up on all the chores and everything.
Yeah.
You know,
takes a lot of
cutting
time.
the grass and just doing all that kind of stuff. And luckily my parents are over here and they've been able to help us out a lot. We got a great support system.
Yeah.
And,
They're wonderful.
Yeah. But just kind of being split between two places it's still been a stressor on the family that we kind of came to the point where like, this is an unnecessary stressor.
Sure.
You know?
Yep. So to give everybody a quick synopsis of the process too. So we go, we put the house on the market. Obviously we get the photos. We did the same things we did with your guys' first house.
Yeah.
We get the professional photos. We get it on the market. We have this plethora of people who are like, hey, I'm interested. They get their showing set up. They walk through the house. We finally get a purchaser under contract for, I think it was $10,000 more, right?
Yeah.
Than what they were going to purchase the house for. Came into the inspection and without being rude.
Just came in asking for nothing, saw the inspection, just a couple small things and a couple of things that needed to be taken care of, which we
of course
absolutely agreed with
and
and took care of.
Yeah.
But beyond that was just like, hey, we want to amend everything. We want all of this back and we want you to fix all of these things. And we want to offer you less and you pay us more and pay our taxes for the rest of the year. And it was just like,
it was 2 weeks
where
of
did all this
negotiation.
come from?
Right.
Yeah, it was the longest
know?
we've ever negotiated with anybody. And it was interesting because we're trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I feel like we had a lot of grace too. Like we let that go on conversations for a long time because we were like, hey, if they want the house, like let's try to work with them. But got to the point where it's just like, look, we can't do anything more for you guys.
Yeah.
Like, we've already
like the house is still in great condition. Like, I mean, you're not buying a newly built home. You're not like the roof is going to need to be replaced in a few years, probably. Like that literally comes with almost any house you buy. You're lucky if you get a house with a brand new roof because that stuff is expensive.
Right.
You know, and it's just like, man,
So all that being said, everybody, we go back and forth. We're talking to this purchaser. I'm communicating with the agent, who the agent was absolutely wonderful to work with. To be honest, he was great. If he's watching this, dude, you're awesome. You know who you are. I don't need to say your name, but you're awesome. Communication was great, going back and forth with them, with you guys, with the buyers. Everything was great. It's just our goals and what it is you're trying to do, what they were trying to make happen, and what you guys are trying to make happen. It just didn't line up. And that's okay. And that happens often. It happens in the real estate market. It happens in certain situations, right? Like that happens. But again, to put in perspective what you said earlier, you were called to a specific job and you ran into a roadblock. It's the same thing here, where a lot of times people go, well, we're selling the house to this particular person and they're backing out. So now everything's gone.
I mean, honestly, for a split second, when you called us back about the inspection and all these things that they were listing, I looked at Jacob, I go, I said, I don't know. I'm freaking out just a little bit, but is it God saying don't move? Like don't sell the house? Or is it the enemy trying to stop us?
Yeah.
Jacob looking at me because I got the crazy eyes for like a split second. And he was like, baby, take a second. He's like, I know it's a lot. He's like, let's call mom. Let's talk it through because she always brings us back down to reality and it'll be fine.
Planted, you know, and
sure.
So it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, hey, we prayed about this. Like we feel very peaceful and confident in the decision to sell it. So like,
it's just a matter of finding the right person to come in and buy it. Yeah,
for sure. Exactly.
Which we put the house right back on the market.
Yeah,
we had another 12 showings.
You kept us super stable through it too. I can't. the amount of times I called you to the point where she was just like,
leave Rory alone for just today.
"Leave Rory alone." Or like the one day I went to call and he was like, "It's Holly's birthday. Leave him alone." And I was like, "Oh, you were so right. I'm so sorry." I get in those modes where
It
I'm
was
like,
a Sunday.
I gotta
after
take
church,
care
and
of
I was
this,
like,
you know?
babe,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
Sunday. Let
Yeah.
him. He has three children. He doesn't have
Well,
two
life,
anymore. He
I'm
has
busy
three.
through as most people, I'm busy throughout the
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
of other stuff. So it's
So
like,
you're
oh, I
calling
didn't get
when you're
that. And then
available.
I'm
Yeah.
calling. I'm like, oh, the weekend's available. This is when
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the
Yeah.
house. And then I forget. I'm like,
The
Rory's human too.
yeah, it's true. The blessing of like this job and this, it's just reality is it's like, it's not a 9 to 5, which is the thing that a lot of people look at and they go like, it never ends.
Yeah.
But it's also not a 9 to 5. And
Right.
so like me taking a phone call from you guys at 1 o'clock on a Sunday, I can and I will,
Mhm.
because it just makes more sense for me to do that than to push this off until Monday morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
Right.
it just makes more sense. And it's been a blessing to Holly and I too, because like,
Mhm.
you know, I don't need to be in the office to make these phone calls. I can do it right from the
Yeah.
kitchen
Right.
sink, you know, like
Most
it
people
makes it easier.
understand too, like their realtors
And then you
answering
have
on a
some
Sunday
freedom.
and they're at home and their kids are singing in the background.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it happens.
And you have freedom to like help out with school.
Yep.
Like drop offs, pickups, you know.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
What
It
is
makes it nice.
Yeah. Field trips. I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah.
We got one coming up for Jay. We're
There
going to
you
the
go.
zoo. It's going to be a good time.
There you go.
But yeah, it gives you that freedom to do those things too.
Yeah.
So,
For sure.
and we've talked about that in the past when I was considering actually
Jump
coming
in.
under your wing and
Yeah,
jumping
yeah.
in and doing it.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So that was a big perk. It
Yeah.
was like,
Then the
man,
campground
of
pulled
freedom.
you away.
and then the campground pulled me away.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of plans that we had on the campground. It was like,
We
Yeah.
had
that
a
was
lot of
more like,
plans,
God, hello.
and then God was like, "No, this is the plan." And we're
That's
like,
funny.
"Oh, okay, that's cool."
That's funny.
Yeah.
So process then we find this new purchaser. The purchaser comes in, has the exact same. And to give you guys a quick perspective, the first purchaser came in, asked for well over. I mean, I'm going to be conservative and say $10,000 worth of stuff that you guys would
At
pay for
least.
them, but I think it was
Mhm.
closer to 15.
Well, it was probably
the-
closer, and they asked to come down on the price with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all that being said, it just didn't line up with the first purchaser, which
Mhm.
again, no bad feelings to
Mhm.
them. And I think they feel
Yeah.
the same way. It
Yeah.
just didn't work out. It's
Yeah.
okay. Next purchaser comes in. And this is the reason why, like with inspections and appraisals too, they're so incredibly subjective in the market, which is why like specifically real estate agent or just an experienced person coming in and looking at your stuff is so incredibly important.
Mhm.
But we have the second person comes in. And I can remember I got the report back, or she called me. The agent, again, amazing agent. They're closing right now. It's 12:24 when we're shooting this, and they're closing at this moment.
Mhm.
But she calls me and she goes, "Hey, inspection went great. We're all good. We'll let you know when the
Oh,
appraisal's
boy.
happening." And
Yeah.
so I called you
Same
guys,
day.
told you the same thing, and yeah,
It's like what we just made up like almost a week in the process.
yeah,
Which is great.
Helps us because we felt like we wasted some time.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily
and so-
wasted. We were
not
figuring
wasted.
it out.
We were
you know?
figuring it out.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, we had wanted to sell by a certain date,
Mhm.
and then that didn't happen because negotiations
Plans
lasted longer.
change.
Plans
Things
change.
don't go the way
You
you
got to
Right.
be flexible.
that's right.
You know.
Yeah, but it ended all. Here we are today,
Mhm.
May 17th. You guys closed on your home. Not a stressor, not a thing that you need to have dad come over and get the grass cut, or maneuvering getting somebody to shovel the snow in the winter, or
Right.
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 getting a renter in there, or making sure the bills are covered. Like it's gone, it's done, it's
Mhm.
good. Take a deep breath. It's finished.
It's done.
How you guys feeling?
It's like a weight.
It's
is
a
lifted
weird
off.
weight
Yeah.
because so when we sold our last house, we were not in this position. We were selling
Yeah.
to break even because we were very broke.
Yeah.
And now, like, not that we're swimming in cash, but it's like we get to pay off these debts that we've been paying monthly, which most people have. You have a car payment, you got all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff, personal loans, credit cards, and we get to pay that off and actually start putting money away for things.
Give
and
some
it's-
money back to my parents. They've helped out with
Shout out
plenty
to
things. So
Brad and
shout out to
Kimberly
Brad and
Dunkelberg.
Kimberly Dunkelberg.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're
Mom and Dad.
amazing. Yeah, and that's not even close to what we technically owe them, but they won't take any more than that.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and they're already like don't want to take it, but
Yeah.
at the same time, they're like, yeah,
Just
we
like,
need-
hey,
it
you
might be
blessed us
nice
so
to
much.
get
Yeah.
back a little
We're
bit.
just in a spot where it feels like the first time we're like,
We're able to
we can bless,
give
someone
back
else
what
and
people
do-
have done
do-
for
yeah.
us.
Sure.
So,
Which is a
Yeah.
great spot
Yeah.
to be in. And you mentioned this a second ago. You talked about your first house and the experience of selling the
mhm,
first house versus the experience of selling this house.
mhm.
And I'll tee you up. Ready?
Yeah,
One of the things that happens a lot in the purchase of a piece of real estate here in the United States is people compare what it is that other people are doing. And so like,
Mhm.
let me take this to the like most fundamental, basic level.
Mhm.
my friends used to rent and now they bought a house. I want to buy a house too.
Mhm.
And like, that's a real thing. And it happens. And it's, although people look at it and they go, well, I don't have the, the 4-car garage and the, 4,000 square foot house with 8 bedrooms or whatever. Like, yeah, it's not, you're not keeping up with those Joneses, but you're keeping up with the other ones. You know what I mean? Like,
You are, yeah.
and it's a normal thing and it's okay. But there's a sense of going, wait a minute, let's make sure this works. Let's make sure this happens. And because we brought this up, I wanted you guys to share kind of your experience, if as deep as you want to go with it.
Yeah.
But your experience of looking at this from like the very like emotional purchase. I want to be in a house because my friends have a house and make it mine, versus the more logical, hey, what is the best decision for us? And what's the best price point that we need to be at in order to accomplish our marathon goals, not sprint goals.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
what do you share your experience as far as that
You
goes?
want
If
to
you
start
guys
this
want to.
one?
Yeah. So, we had gotten married and we'd been renting in Roseville for a while. And we kind of got to a point where we were like, what do we want to do? And this is, Natalie touched on it briefly earlier, the out of state thing. And so we had some friends who lived in South Carolina and we went down for a couple job interviews at different places. And we were heavily considering like, let's do this. And so we got to a point, we prayed about it and we were like, yeah, in hindsight, we were rushing things. We didn't get the go ahead, but we were like, yeah, this is it. Let's do it. And so we called our landlord and we were like, hey, if we can get out of our lease, like we'll be willing to pay for, it was like the first week of the month. We were like, let us pay for the whole month. Like, and they worked with us and they were like, yeah, sure. Like, that's good. We're sad to see you go. We had a great relationship, but we were like, hey, we're doing this. And so we were going to take the money we had saved to move all of our stuff down. And we were going to go to South Carolina. And so after we got out of that, like a week later, we were like, we're not moving to South Carolina.
Well, we also looked at the financial aspect of it was we didn't have enough money to move all of our
we
stuff.
didn't prep.
We didn't have enough money for a down payment for even a rental in South Carolina because it was expensive where we were trying to move versus where we were living. And we realized we can't do this.
This is a bad call. But
and we also had 4 pets at the time.
Yeah.
2 cats,
we had
2
a
dogs.
zoo at the house. It was,
So.
And so kind of called family and we're like, hey, grandma, what we're going to do is buy a house now. We started talking to our friend Rory. We're going to get approved. We're still working our jobs. But can we stay with you for a minute? And she was like, sure. So we moved in with my grandma for
about a month and a half.
Yeah, it took us about a month and a half. It was a very quick process buying that first house.
For sure.
But again, it was just kind of like we got approved and we were like, let's find out what's in our price point.
So if you're listening here, we're missing a key aspect here about how quick this was moving for us, and something we were not considering was in fact our finances, was our budget, what we can pay monthly.
Yeah.
So when we were looking at homes, we knew what we were approved for, and we were trying to stay under that number, but we really realistically were not looking at what Jacob and I were bringing in as a couple and how that money was being dispersed for bills, and including our mortgage, the water bill, the DTE bill, the consumer's bill, all of that stuff. And then on top of that, our own food, car payments, things like just
having
all of that.
Pets.
Having pets, it's expensive. It is.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Now, there's definitely an aspect of like your finances of like, hey, at least for us with our faith, like trust God, and like he's going to provide, but also like he hasn't created us to be stupid. So like we've come to a point where it's like we need to be good stewards of our money. So like having good financial plans, having like your bills set out, going over that constantly before making
buy a
decisions
house.
or just any big decision.
Well, any big decision,
any
for
big
sure.
financial,
but specifically in this scenario that we're talking about. So when we moved into the house, everything was yippee-ki-yay. We were so excited. It was a beautiful home in Mount Clemens.
This is great.
The house was huge. Even my parents was a tap on the back and they were like, we're proud of you. This is a beautiful home. And I'm just like, thank you. Yes,
we did it. Yeah.
Woohoo. And then what's crazy is we actually lived in the house for about 6 months, and we quickly realized
we can't afford our bills.
We couldn't afford our bills. And so here comes in Kim and Brad, and they were wonderful and they helped us, but they shouldn't have had to do that.
Sure.
And they didn't have to, but they did because they loved us and they didn't want to see us go under so quickly.
And another aspect, we bought an old home. without the anticipation of like, hey, this old home is going to need more work than something that's
and
newer.
we didn't realize that. And so as time went on, when we're like, oh shoot, we got to fix that. Oh shoot, that needs to be fixed. It started piling up and we were like, oh, okay. So on top of not being able to really afford our mortgage, now we got to make sure we keep the house standing.
Yeah.
And it just came to a point where we couldn't handle it anymore. We were literally drowning in everything. And honestly, I do believe if we stayed there, I just have this strong feeling that we would have went under.
Yeah.
We probably would have ended up either losing the house or something. I don't know, but it was heading to that point.
Yeah.
Sure.
It wasn't in like danger level yet, but it was very
It was
close.
getting
Like,
there.
we were getting
getting
real
there.
close, and it was very stressful, and it was stressful on a newly married couple, you know, and like it caused a lot of issues. Like it was just
And
like,
I'm
hey,
sure
this
you
is-
remember when you met with
Yeah.
us, and we're like, hey, here's our situation.
lot of tears.
We can't afford this place anymore and we love it. But like, what do you think? We asked for your advice on that too. And you were like, oh, this is hard. But you gave us our realistic options.
Yeah.
And he's like, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this. Like, here's your choices.
That's something I appreciate about you, and you had said it earlier. You don't just give the easiest option. You give all the options.
Yeah.
And you're blunt about it. Like, hey, I'm gonna tell you the reality
Yeah.
of like this is what it is.
Because
Like,
I know this is hard.
I can't
but
if I wouldn't be a good friend to you or a good realtor if I sugarcoated these things.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is what it is, and you've always done that,
always.
and that's huge. If you're getting a realtor and they're not being honest with you, this is the one.
that or just,
I
just get a realtor.
I appreciate that, but here's
Yeah.
the thing that like it's just a reality, and when you first get into this, it's one of those things that you just don't think about as a real estate agent. You don't look at it as a holistic thing. You look at it as a like I'm selling you a house, right? Like,
and I'm gonna be making a profit.
and I'm
with
gonna
you.
be making money because you bought a house, right? Like,
Right.
and that there's agents that do really well, and that's their mindset, and that's okay. That's fine because it's reality is as real estate agents, it's not our responsibility
Absolutely.
to look at the finances of the person sitting across from us. But it's shifted a lot of things, specifically for me when it comes to like first time home buyers, for example, and going, all right, hey, I just want you to know, because of the experiences that I've had, me personally, when it comes to buying and selling a house,
Right.
Me personally with working people who have done this for the first time, and not just you guys, just people in general. Let's go over what it's going to cost on a month-to-month basis of what it's going to look like if you're to live in this house, and then decide, is this going to make the most sense? And I've said, actually, other people too, bought a house up in like the Leonard area, like Oxford, Leonard area. Anyways, they bought this house and they moved from the city up there, and it was like on a couple acres, and like it requires you to buy extra gas for the four-wheeler so that you can do the driveway. Not to mention the fact that you now need to go out and spend $3,000-$4,000 on a zero turn.
Yep.
You know, like all of that different stuff.
You wouldn't have thought of that to add that in the budget, you know?
No,
Like,
exactly. And not to mention the fact that like it takes time, you know, like being able to look at it from that perspective, because that's a lot of the clients that I work with. They're moving from the city and they're moving out to the country, similar to you guys, just a different direction, a different circumstance. But like there's this like just want to be home. I just want to be with family, and it's a good thing. It is. So let's tailor you purchasing a home, and more importantly, your budget around the lifestyle that you want, not necessarily just what you see everybody else having.
and that's
therefore
that wasn't our mindset when we bought the home. We wanted a house. We wanted to be somewhere secure and our own place, not a rental. And we jumped and dove right in. And we loved that home. It served us with what we needed. Like, I don't regret buying that house because I think it taught us a lot about owning a home.
Yeah.
And it made me realize I did not want 2 stories.
But a much
I like a ranch
much
style.
harder sale too. Like that sale felt more forced, and it was a lot harder compared to where we're at
I
now.
cried a
Like,
lot
it's a
when we made
very
that
different
decision.
situation.
Yeah, it was very emotional because we planned to have kids in that house. We planned to do some extensions on the home.
Yeah.
We planned to build a garage at some point. Like, even if it was just a small one, we literally priced out what it would be to renovate the entire kitchen, because the kitchen in that home was weirdly designed. And so
With
like,
the
here's our
laundry
idea.
room.
We had it all drawn out, and we went to a few different home improvement stores, and we priced everything out of what we were going to need to do. And that wasn't including appliances, like new ones. And we were just going to utilize what we had. But it was like, you know, like we were ready. We were going to do it.
Yeah.
It just wasn't the right time.
Yep.
Wasn't the right place.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm super thankful and honestly honored that you guys reached out to me a second time to work with me a second time when it comes to the sale of your home. Congratulations on said sale.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, it'll be nice. I know what it's like to pay off some debts and getting rid of that stuff. So like And those who are listening who are like, I know what they're talking about. It
Mhm.
feels good. So
It does.
congratulations on
Thank
that
you.
too. Take
Thank
that weight
you.
off your shoulders. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
And enjoy Florida.
Thank you.
We're excited.
Yeah.
Heading to
Yeah.
vacation, as Jay would call it.
There you go.
I
Having
love
some
it.
vacation. I love it. But no, it's super good having you guys in the studio talking through this. I think it's really good. Oh,
Yeah.
Anybody out there who local business owners at the campground,
Yeah.
that's specifically kind of what you guys specialize in is businesses coming in, churches coming in, doing retreats, kind of little
Mhm.
getaways.
Yeah.
Weekend retreats are huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yep.
us. Yeah.
So if anybody's interested in that, should they just reach out to me and I'll put them in contact with you?
Absolutely.
sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We'll
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
you
I'll get you the
arranged.
contact info for them. and
Cool.
yeah. We'd
That's
love to have
perfect.
you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you are out there, what's the name of the campground?
It's Faholo.
Spell that.
Faith, Hope, Love. So
Okay.
FAHOLO.
And then
Okay.
Camping
Yep.
Conference
Camping
Center. If you
Conference
type in FAHOLO
LO.
in Google, it'll come right up.
Okay. So if you're a small business owner in general, church, pastor, whatever it might be,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and you need a getaway with your staff, with students, maybe, or you just need to get away, you need to go on a retreat.
Get away, get closer. That's our
That's-
slogan. Or
Reach out
slogan.
to these guys.
Slogan.
I like that.
Slogan. Yeah.
Your slogan. I love
It's
it.
right off of 94 too, so it's
Okay.
super convenient.
Yeah.
Like it's
94 or 96?
94.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Okay.
you can take 94 right over exit 150.
Okay.
Yep.
Right on.
Right off
on.
the highway. So,
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. So thankful for you guys
Yeah.
We're
coming in
thankful
here and
for
being
you,
a part of
Rory.
this.
Seriously,
too.
you're amazing.
Oh, you guys
Yeah.
are so kind.
We love you and your family.
Send me some pictures of Florida too.
Oh,
I
don't you
live
worry.
vicariously through you guys.
Yes.
But I
Sounds
love
good.
it. Thankful for you guys for tuning in today's episode
Yeah.
Tuesdays, Rory. Thankful for you guys as well. We'll catch you next time. Besides that, you guys have a blessed day. We'll see ya.
See ya.
Bye.